Hidden deep in the shadows of the 80s metal scene are bands that delivered crushing riffs, killer albums, and underground anthems, only to be forgotten with time. Today, we're looking at 30 obscure metal bands from the 80s that every rock or metal fan should know. And we're starting with one of the rawest thrash acts the decade had to offer. Number 1, Lizzy Borden. Formed in Los Angeles in 1983, Lizzy Borden brought horror theatrics to the glam metal scene. Blood-soaked shows, face paint, and decapitations were part of the act, but the music had real bite. Signed to Metal Blade, the band released Love You to Pieces and Menace to Society, blending classic metal riffs with speed and melody. Their 1987 album Visual Lies included Me Against the World, which even made it onto the cult horror film Black Roses. While tracks like American Metal and Give 'Em the Axe became underground anthems. They had the look, the sound, and the songs, but got buried in the glam metal avalanche. Today, they remain a cult favorite for fans who like their metal theatrical and loud. Number 2, Holy Moses. In the mid-80s, Germany's thrash scene exploded, and Holy Moses was right there at the front, led by one of the first women in extreme metal, Sabina Klassen. Formed in 1980, the band's breakthrough came with Queen of Siam in 1986. It was fast, raw, and uncompromising, packed with snarling vocals and breakneck riffs. Their follow-up, finished with the Dogs, sharpened their sound even further. With standout tracks like Current of Death and Life's Destroyer, becoming staples of the underground. Holy Moses never found mainstream success, but their influence was huge. Sabina broke barriers, and the band helped shape German thrash long before it had a name. Number 3, Grim Reaper. High-pitched wails, over-the-top guitar solos, and hooks you couldn't forget. Grim Reaper had it all. Formed in the UK, the band hit their stride with See You in Hell in 1983. The title track became a cult favorite thanks to MTV and its gloriously low-budget video. Follow-ups like Fear No Evil and Rock You to Hell kept the momentum going. With anthems like Night of the Vampire showing just how sharp their melodic edge could be. Singer Steve Grimmett's voice was iconic, but the band was plagued by label issues and never broke big. Still, their albums remain underground classics in the world of traditional heavy metal. Number 4, Anvil. Anvil helped shape the sound of speed and thrash metal before most people even knew those genres existed. Formed in Toronto in the late 70s, they released Metal on Metal in 1982, a blueprint for aggressive riff-heavy metal. Tracks like Mothra and Jackhammer hit with full force energy. Bands like Metallica and Slayer openly praised them, but poor management and bad timing kept Anvil stuck in the underground. They finally got some recognition with the 2008 documentary, The Story of Anvil.
It's been nothing but a nightmare.
But in the 80s, they were one of the greatest metal bands nobody was listening to. Number 5, Sortilège. France wasn't known for heavy metal in the 80s, but Sortilège made sure it left a mark. Formed in Paris in 1981, the band released Metamorphose in 1984, combining epic melodies, soaring vocals, and lyrics sung entirely in French. The sound was sharp and powerful, drawing comparisons to Dio and Iron Maiden. Tracks like D'ailleurs and Majesté showed off their flair for drama and melody. They briefly re-recorded songs in English to reach wider audiences, but the magic didn't translate. Sortilège faded fast, but in Europe's underground, they became legends. We've covered 5 deep cuts already, bands that deserve more and delivered big. Which one brought back memories, or maybe you discovered a new favorite? Let me know in the comments. I read every reply. Number 6, Omen. Riding the wave of US power metal, Omen came in heavier, darker, and meaner than most. Formed in Los Angeles in 1983, their debut battle cry was pure steel, packed with pounding riffs, war-torn lyrics, and gritty vocals. Death Rider and the Axeman delivered pure adrenaline. While follow-up albums like Warning of Danger built on that momentum with cuts like Ruby Eyes of the Serpent. Number 7, Cirith Ungol. No band sounded or looked quite like Cirith Ungol. Formed in California in the early 70s, they didn't release their first album until 1981. Frost and Fire mixed doom, fantasy, and heavy metal in a way no one else dared. By King of the Dead, their sound had become darker, stranger, and cult-worthy, with tracks like Atom Smasher and Master of the Pit, showcasing their otherworldly blend of power and dread. With cover art pulled straight from sword and sorcery novels and vocals that split opinions, Cirith Ungol never fit in. But decades later, their influence is undeniable in doom and epic metal circles. Number 8, Jag Panzer. Sharp, melodic, and criminally overlooked, Jag Panzer were US power metal done right. Formed in Colorado in 1981, their debut Ample Destruction is considered a classic. It had blazing guitars, soaring vocals from Harry Conklin, and a polished but aggressive sound that stood out from the scene. Songs like License to Kill and Warfare helped cement their legacy as underground titans. Despite the talent, label issues and shifting trends kept them from rising. But for many metalheads, Jag Panzer is still one of the genre's best-kept secrets. Number 9, Riot. Few bands deserve the phrase "should have been huge" more than Riot. Formed in New York in the mid-70s, they hit their stride in the 80s with albums like Fire Down Under and Thundersteel. The former was pure, hard-hitting heavy metal with standouts like Swords and Tequila and Outlaw. The latter, a speed metal masterclass led by the blistering Thundersteel and Flight of the Warrior. Constant lineup changes and lack of label support held them back, but their influence runs deep, especially in European power metal. Riot never got the glory, but they earned respect. Number 10, Candlemass. Formed in Sweden in 1984, their debut Epicus Doomicus Metallicus delivered slow, crushing riffs and operatic vocals that set a new standard. With songs like Solitude and Demon's Gate, the band created atmosphere and weight that few could match. Their follow-up, Nightfall, raised the bar even higher with classics like Bewitched. They never reached the commercial level of other metal acts, but Candlemass helped shape an entire subgenre. Today, their early records are sacred in doom circles. Ten bands in, and we've barely scratched the surface. Which one took you by surprise? Or which one do you think deserves way more recognition? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see which forgotten legends still have loyal fans out there. Number 11, Chastain. Led by shred guitarist David T. Chastain, this band fused technical brilliance with power and attitude. Formed in 1984, they stood out thanks to Leather Leone, one of metal's fiercest female vocalists. Albums like Mystery of Illusion and Ruler of the Wasteland delivered blazing solos, strong songwriting, and a sound that blended US power metal with neoclassical flair. Tracks like Black Knight and Angel of Mercy showcased their heavy meets melodic style in full force. Chastain never got mainstream attention, but in the underground, they earned respect. Musicianship this good never goes out of style. Number 12, Tokyo Blade. Part of the early 80s British metal wave, Tokyo Blade had the hooks, the riffs, and the attitude, but got lost in the shuffle. Formed in 1982, their early albums like Night of the Blade combined Iron Maiden-style gallops with melodic, streetwise grit. Tracks like Lightning Strikes, Straight Through the Heart, and Someone to Love balanced raw energy with melodic finesse. They toured with big names and flirted with success, but lineup changes and poor management held them back. Today, they're a hidden gem of that classic British metal era, deserving of way more attention than they ever got. Number 13, Cloven Hoof. With song titles like Return of the Passover, they leaned hard into myth and mysticism. Hailing from England, they emerged in the early 80s with a sound that blended traditional heavy metal with epic, fantasy-driven themes. Their self-titled 1984 debut is packed with powerful riffs and dramatic flair, especially on tracks like Crack the Whip and Laying Down the Law. Follow-up releases like Dominator pushed further into power metal territory. They never cracked the mainstream, but their early work became a cult favorite, especially among fans of classic and power metal. Number 14, Manilla Road. Hailing from Wichita, Kansas, Manilla Road built an entire underground legacy from the heart of the Midwest. Led by guitarist and vocalist Mark Shelton, the band blended epic fantasy themes with a raw, unpolished sound. Albums like Crystal Logic and Open the Gates became cult classics, mixing doom, heavy metal, and storytelling that felt straight out of a pulp novel. Tracks like Necropolis and The Ninth Wave turned them into icons of underground epic metal. They were too weird for radio, too metal for labels, but for die-hard fans, Manilla Road is sacred ground. Number 15, Agent Steele. Fast, technical, and obsessed with aliens, Agent Steele brought sci-fi to speed metal. Formed in Los Angeles in 1984, their debut Skeptic's Apocalypse hit hard with blazing riffs and John Cirith's piercing vocals. Songs like 144,000 Gone and Bleed for the Gods showed just how fast and furious their sound could be. They followed up quickly with Unstoppable Force, pushing their mix of thrash precision and melodic power even further. The band split not long after, but their early albums became cult favorites, especially among fans who like their metal fast, tight, and just a little paranoid. "15 bands down, how many of these have you actually heard before? Let me know in the comments. Whether it's a forgotten favorite or a brand new discovery, I want to hear what stood out. All right, let's keep going. Things are just starting to heat up. Number 16, Raven.
I don't think you're gonna make it. I don't think you wanna try. Shake back in your reach.
Before thrash took off, Raven was already laying the groundwork. Formed in Newcastle in the mid-70s, Raven brought speed, chaos, and high-energy performances that influenced bands like Metallica and Anthrax. Their 1981 album, Rock Until You Drop, was raw and wild, with tracks like Hard Ride and Don't Need Your Money defining their no-holds-barred style. All for One pushed things even further with the relentless Break the Chain. They were almost there, but a major label pushed toward commercial glam slowed their momentum. Number 17, Brocas Helm. Underground to the core, Brocas Helm played epic metal with zero compromise. Formed in San Francisco in the early 80s, they self-released albums like Into Battle and the cult favorite Defender of the Crown. Tracks like Raven Wreck and Fly High captured their lo-fi warrior metal vibe perfectly. The sound was rough, the songwriting ambitious, and the vibe pure fantasy rebellion. They never had a label push or big tours, but built a loyal following through tape trading and word of mouth. Brocas Helm wasn't for everyone, but for some, they were everything. Number 18, Metal Church. Blending thrash intensity with classic metal roots, Metal Church hit hard and never got the credit they deserved. Formed in Washington State, their self-titled 1984 debut featured tight riffs, sharp songwriting, and vocals from the legendary David Wayne. Songs like Beyond the Black and Gods of Wrath set a high bar. The follow-up, The Dark, delivered again with heavy hitters like Watch the Children Pray. They weren't flashy, but they were solid, and influenced a generation of heavy and thrash bands that came after them. Number 19, Tank. Raw, loud, and built like a battering ram, Tank brought punk attitude to British heavy metal. Formed in 1980 and often compared to Motorhead, their debut Filth Hounds of Hades was packed with grit, distortion, and defiance. Tracks like Shell Shock and Blood, Guts, and Beer became UK underground favorites. Later albums like This Means War delivered equally heavy tunes like Echoes of a Distant Battle. They never reached the heights of Maiden or Saxon, but Tank's no-frills metal left a lasting impression on the speed and thrash scenes that followed. Number 20, TT Quick. Fast, tight, and way ahead of their time. They had all the tools, but none of the spotlight. Formed in New Jersey, the band's 1984 EP showcased serious chops with tracks like Child of Sin. With Mark Tornillo on vocals years before he'd front Accept, they delivered heavy metal with a hard rock punch. Their 1986 album Medal of Honor featured standout cuts like Hell to Pay and Child of Sin again, now re-recorded with even more punch. They never broke through, but those who know them know how sharp they really were. "20 bands in, and we're deep into the vault now. How many of these did you already know? Or maybe you've got a personal favorite that still gets rotation today? Let's hear it in the comments. And if you've made it this far, you're officially one of us. Number 21, Fifth Angel. Slick, melodic, and seriously underrated, Fifth Angel brought class to US power metal. Formed in Seattle, their 1986 debut was packed with soaring vocals, polished riffs, and tight songwriting that leaned more toward arena metal than underground grit. Tracks like In the Fallout and Only the Strong Survive showcased their blend of power and melody. Follow-up album Time Will Tell delivered more gems like Midnight Love and 7 Hours. But poor timing and lack of label support meant they never took off. Still, that debut remains a hidden gem for fans of melodic, high-flying 80s metal. Number 22, Liege Lord. US power metal at its finest, but criminally overlooked. They had everything it took to be big, but never made it. Formed in 1982, their 1985 debut Freedom's Rise, and especially their third album Master Control, blended sharp melodic riffs with commanding vocals and intricate arrangements. Songs like Eye of the Storm and Kill the King, a blazing rainbow cover, became underground staples. Despite high-quality albums and a dedicated fan base, Liege Lord faded into obscurity, but their influence on US metal remains undeniable. Number 23, Savage Grace. Fast, aggressive, and a bit ahead of their time. Savage Grace never quite made it, but their early work remains a heavy metal blueprint. Formed in Los Angeles in 1981, they released Master of Disguise in 1985, a mix of speed metal with a razor-sharp edge. Tracks like Fear My Way were bursting with intensity. Their follow-up, After the Fall from Grace, delivered more power with songs like We Came, We Saw, We Conquered. Still, the band's influence on speed and thrash metal bands is clear, and their music continues to resonate with fans of underground US metal. Number 24, Virgin Steele. Epic, theatrical, and soaked in mythology. Virgin Steele was one of the most ambitious US metal bands of the 80s, but never achieved the mainstream success they deserved. Formed in 1981, their early albums like Virgin Steele and Guardians of the Flame were filled with rich storytelling and layered vocals. Standouts like Don't Say Goodbye Tonight and The Redeemer showed their flair for grand symphonic metal. Later records like Noble Savage further pushed their theatrical direction. Despite earning respect in the underground, Virgin Steele never broke out of niche status. But for fans of early American power metal, they're an undisputed treasure. Number 25, Witchfynde. One of the original purveyors of occult metal, they were ahead of its time in the early days of the British heavy metal movement. Formed in 1974, the band's 1980 debut, Give 'Em Hell, mixed classic heavy metal with dark, atmospheric themes. Songs like Leaving Nader laid the groundwork for future doom and black metal acts. Their follow-up, Stage Fright, offered more eerie gems like Big Deal. They never broke big, but their unique blend of heavy metal and the supernatural has earned them a cult following that's only grown over the years. We've covered a lot of deep cuts so far. Some of these names may have taken you by surprise. Which band caught your attention, or maybe you've been a fan for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Let's keep digging. Number 26, The Rods. Straightforward, no-frills metal. The Rods brought blue-collar grit to the American metal scene. Formed in 1980, their self-titled debut, Wild Dogs, blended heavy riffs with high-energy performances. Tracks like Crank It Up and Hurricane were pure working-class metal, loud, relentless, and built for the stage. Their live shows earned them a reputation as one of the most hard-hitting underground acts of the era. They never reached commercial success, but their relentless style and solid albums have kept them a beloved name among underground fans. Number 27, Malice. Power, speed, and aggression. Malice brought the intensity, but never hit the big time. Formed in California in 1982, their debut, In the Beginning, set the tone for their intense, riff-heavy brand of power metal. Tracks like Stellar Masters and Gods of Thunder showcase their sharp blend of classic and speed metal. Their second album, License to Kill, brought more polish and fan favorites like the title track. Despite strong material, they never broke through to the mainstream. Today, Malice remains one of the most underrated acts from the US power metal wave of the 80s. Number 28, Vicious Rumors. Hard-hitting and fast, Vicious Rumors made their mark with technical precision and powerful vocals. Formed in 1980, the band's debut, Soldiers of the Night, showcased their high-speed thrash and US power metal influences. With songs like Ride Into the Sun and Minute to Kill, they balanced aggression with melody. Their follow-up, Digital Dictator, is often hailed as a classic, featuring anthems like Worlds and Machines. Though they never cracked the mainstream, they became a staple in the underground metal scene, influencing later bands and maintaining a loyal following. Number 29, Loudness. Japan's Loudness may have been the first heavy metal band from Asia to make waves internationally, but they never got the recognition they deserved in the US. Formed in 1981, their 1985 album Thunder in the East broke them into the Western metal scene with tracks like Crazy Nights and Heavy Chains. Follow-ups like Lightning Strikes gave us more killer cuts like Let It Go and Ashes in the Sky, showcasing Akira Takasaki's jaw-dropping guitar work. Despite critical success, they never fully broke through the mainstream. Today, Loudness is revered by metal fans worldwide, but remains criminally underrated outside their loyal fan base. Number 30, Indestroy. Straightforward, no-frills thrash metal, the kind of band that brought aggression and attitude to every note. Formed in 1985 in Washington, D.C., Indestroy's debut was raw, fast, and packed with the unrelenting energy that defined the underground thrash scene. Songs like Dead Girls Don't Say No and USDA delivered socially charged lyrics and pounding riffs. Their follow-up, Senseless Theories, further explored their blend of speed and political rage. Indestroy's story is a testament to the power of DIY metal, musically solid, but too often overlooked by the mainstream. Still, their place in the thrash metal history books is secure. If you enjoyed this dive into obscure 80s metal, don't miss our other deep dive into hidden gems from the 60s, 70s, and 80s rock scene. Check it out now and discover even more bands that history forgot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.